everybody, I'm Jammer, and today I have something a little different for you. Some of the most influential series of my childhood were Mario, Zelda, if it wasn't obvious enough, Animal Crossing, but also on top of that, Pokemon. However, I am an interesting Pokemon fan. I grew up watching the anime, I collected the cards, except of course I had no idea how to play. I owned a lot of the toys and merchandise. Heck, I even used to play pretend on recess with a friend of mine. Every day in elementary school, we go out on the playground as imaginary Pokemon trainers and we catch invisible Pokemon, train and battle and go on adventures. It was like the time of my life. But would it be weird if I told you I didn't have any mainline Pokemon games at all? I'm a Pokemon fan that knows most of the characters, is familiar with a lot of the aspects of the series, but honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of the mainline titles. I have played a good handful: Emerald, Moon, Let's Go, Heart Gold, Fire Red, Blue, but I've beat even fewer. Really having barely scratched the surface of mainline Pokemon titles, where my love of the series came from is in fact from the Mystery Dungeon series. I love the Mystery Dungeon series for so many reasons. First off, you get to play as the Pokemon. After all, they're the true stars of the show when it comes to this series. They are the characters we all know and love. In this game, you're a human turned into a Pokemon in a Pokemon-only world. Matter of fact, this is a world without humans, and it's interesting to note how the Pokemon all live in peace and they aren't forced to be fighting against each other all the time. And building off that, it's not like you catch Pokemon. Instead, in this universe, you become friends with new Pokemon, which just melts my heart. That is the most adorable thing ever. These games have always found a way to tell such meaningful stories. I think one of the biggest aspects why I love the Mystery Dungeon series is because the Pokemon have personalities of their own. They aren't just monsters you collect and capture and then you use in your fighting team. In this universe, they're characters with personality traits, stories, relationships. Throughout the series, there are so many memorable characters, and whenever I see that Pokemon, I'll never forget the roles that they played in the Mystery Dungeon series. Pelipper, Windcash, Wigglytuff, Chatot, Gengar, Grovyle, Celebi, Kelcleon, the list goes on. Each Pokemon being their own distinct character and having their own personality traits really sets them apart from the rest of the massive cast that is Pokemon. The other aspect I really do enjoy is the gameplay. I understand that it's totally not for everyone, and as far as a gameplay loop, it's still definitely grindy. But I think there are a bunch of added layers of depth that make it really interesting. The randomized layout of floors and Pokemon you encounter within each dungeon kind of makes every adventure you go on feel fresh and something new, and who knows what's going to happen on the next floor. The PP of moves you have are meaningful in this game. Because in mainline titles, if your Pokemon's about to run out of moves, you can just fly back to a Pokemon Center, no big deal, and then you can keep continuing on in your journey. In the Mystery Dungeon games, when you're on an expedition, that's it. And if you run out of PP, you have to have an item to restore it, or you're out of luck. Building off that, healing items can save your life. Honestly, in mainline titles, I never really needed to use any of the healing items until like the Elite Four or the really dangerous trainer battles. And there's a lot of engaging difficulty to this game. Now here in the latest entry in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. It's the same original game we've all known and loved, but with a fresh coat of paint and a ton of new quality of life features. Diglett having a little hole between your house and the post office makes it so convenient to quickly go across to the message board to get new tasks. As far as evolution is concerned, you actually keep your partner following you around in town, and that was one of the aspects that people missed so much in that original game. You develop such a great bond with your partner throughout your adventures in this game, and to have them just reverted to a side character after beating the game was so sad. It was just so sad. A new aspect was introduced to when you're in a mystery dungeon called auto mode. And from what it sounds like, it may be like, okay, it's just playing the game for you. Isn't that just an indication of the gameplay isn't that good if you're just gonna blast through it? I see it more as a way to more conveniently navigate through these dungeons, because sometimes it can be a little tedious moving specifically across the grids to collect items and go through room to room, wasting time at dead ends in corridors. There can be a lot of wasted time when exploring a mystery dungeon, and I've just used the auto mode to kind of just speed up that process in a way, so you move more efficiently through the dungeons, but you can still bring attention to the battles you fight. And speaking of battling, a lot of the attacks have been totally revamped for this game. Attacks have a lot more range and can go through the leader of the player in the hallway. That was one of the issues of the original game, where if you didn't have a partner that did quick attack or a move that had a 2-tile range, whenever you were in a hallway or facing an enemy, it was kind of just up to you, the player, to be the one taking on all the damage and taking out the Pokemon in front of you. Beyond that, with the inclusion of all these new rare qualities and special abilities that Pokemon can have, there's a lot of new and unique scenarios you can have when battling. A really great quality of life feature though, how much easier it is to recruit Pokemon. You can bring 3 Pokemon into a dungeon. You can acquire up to an additional 5 more party members as you're exploring the dungeon. To me, it felt like much more frequently I was getting new Pokemon requesting to join my team. But if we're talking about recruiting Pokemon, of course, we have to mention the friend areas. That was one of the best features of the original game because you could explore these little environments where your team members would stay. And the friend areas do return in this game, but you can't explore them. And it is kind of a bummer that you can't walk around in these areas anymore, and I really do miss being able to do that. However, they really did streamline the process of organization of all of your Pokemon you have recruited, and they really made it simple to use and easy to organize the team you want to use. What's cool too is actually all the Pokemon at your camps level up alongside with you. They continue to get XP even if you don't take them out on your expeditions. So if you don't use a Pokemon for a while, it won't make them just totally irrelevant. They'll actually stay semi on par with your main cast, so then you can swap out and play with different Pokemon whenever you feel like it. A huge new aspect, of course, here in DX is, of course, the art style. The original sprite work of this game was phenomenal, but I think they did a great job bringing it into 3D. Even just look at the previous entry, Super Mystery Dungeon, and look how much of a difference it is here in this game. Like, wow, this game just looks gorgeous. And being able to explore this new world in a fresh new angle in this 3D environment, they're also able to add a little bit more cinematography to the game. Cutscenes now have different angles and different shots, and it's not just a full top-down perspective like the original titles. Matter of fact, they go in with some of these cutscenes and ramp up the excitement and adrenaline when pre-facing a big boss fight or having an emotionally impactful cutscene. The music, of course, the music is amazing, and I always will have still nostalgia for the original chiptune soundtracks of all these games, and the remixes continue to do the original soundtrack justice. There were a handful of features that were kind of removed and changed. I previously mentioned like the friend areas have received a lot of changes. The dojo, in fact, is different. Now you can redeem tickets, and you have a timer to defeat a certain amount of enemies in a period of time. And it's a great way to grind XP and get Pokemon leveled up really quickly. And I really do like this feature because that was a tedious feature of the original. When you're trying to level up a new Pokemon that joined your team, it would sometimes take forever to get them up to par with the rest of your team. So this is a great convenient way to boost level characters to get them in fighting shape, while the dojo's original function will be missed. I think this update to the dojo is a much better inclusion. In conclusion, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is just such a special game, and it's such a special series to me, with its story and characters and really giving the Pokemon a personality. I totally get it that the Mystery Dungeon gameplay isn't for everyone, and I know I'm a very special case of someone who really isn't the biggest fan of the mainline title gameplay loop. But if you have any interest in this game, I encourage you to try the free demo. You can totally try out this game right now for free, and you can make some pretty good progress. However, the story doesn't get good until after the demo ends. Things don't really start ramping up. The dungeons really don't start getting interesting until basically after the demo concludes. So the demo isn't the best example of everything that's going to come, but it is a great way to at least experience how the gameplay is in these titles. I'm so happy that they remade this game. Like I said, it's one of the most influential games growing up for me. But my biggest gripe is honestly, I just wish this thing came out sooner. Having it come out just a few weeks before Animal Crossing is the worst timing ever. If it had came out last year or the end of last year or even in January, I would have sunk so much time into this game. It's just awkward timing for me because Animal Crossing right around the corner, that takes priority. I really do hope that this game sells well, so then we can see an Explorers remake as well. Because while the Rescue Team games are phenomenal, it's a really great game, they managed to somehow do even better with the sequel, the Explorers of Time, Explorers of Darkness games. So I really do hope that this game does well, because getting the sequel remade as well would make me ecstatic. So thanks guys for watching this video. I just wanted to share another passion of mine, but don't worry, we're going to be going back to your regularly scheduled Animal Crossing content right after this video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big awesome like, and if you haven't already, definitely subscribe. Again, thank you all so much for the incredible support over the past few weeks, and I have a pretty awesome announcement coming up for when Animal Crossing releases that's going to involve you guys in the community and will be something you guys can submit to and perhaps be even featured in a future Animal Crossing video. I will talk more about the details of that very soon. So thanks again guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!